Hey guys, Horror Man back for another review. So today we're going to take a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze Super Shredder figure. Now this one is made by NECA Toys and it's part of their ongoing line of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures. Now of course we got plenty of figures so far from the 1990 movie, so now they are kind of venturing in to The Secret of the Ooze. So this is pretty exciting. So the front cover here, you do get the classic Secret of the Ooze poster slash, I guess, VHS cover, but a very popular image. You can see Tokka and Rahzar in the back, and the four turtles with the ooze kind of glowing in the front there. You see Super Shredder, and then you get the classic, logo for the movie and everything. So it looks really nice. You do get the Nickelodeon name at the bottom left. Over to the side, you get a really nice image of the figure of Super Shredder. You get the movie title, and you can see Rahzar on that side. And then over to the back, you get a really cool image of Super Shredder, and you get to see like the turtles fighting him in the dock scene. I see him holding the ooze, one of the weapons. And then it kind of gives you an idea of what is in the box. Over to the other side, you get another cool picture of Super Shredder, and you get Tokka on this side. Not much on the top, just the logo. Bottom just gives you all the credits for the people responsible for making the figure. And then when you open up the packaging, again, you get a really cool image of the Super Shredder, and then you see the figure clearly displayed in the window box. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this out of the packaging and have a closer look. Alright, so here is the Super Shredder outside of the packaging. And man, this thing is freaking huge. I mean, he is a very big figure. He's not the biggest NECA figure that's ever been made or anything, but once I do some comparisons, you'll really see how big this guy is. Now, before I get too far into this review, I do want to say that one thing that's included in the box is this background, which is pretty cool, I guess. It's meant to be like the end of the dock scene, or like the end of the movie, dock scene. The problem is that they did it with a glossy finish, which I never understand why they use that glossy finish. But you could probably get it to work for a couple photos. I'll definitely try it for my slideshow, but I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. But I always like when you get the backgrounds, and I was kind of hoping we would have got something a little bit better than that. But that's alright. The star of the show is definitely the figure. So let's get a nice close-up of the face. Alright, so taking a nice close-up of that head sculpt, you could really see some awesome details in that helmet. You do have a little bit different helmet in this movie, so it does have that kind of razor type of cut to the front of it, and really nicely detailed sculpting in that face mask. You can see the vents kind of going just up and down. He's got those crazy eyes because he's just, mutated into this giant Super Shredder. But man, just that razor on that helmet is just insane. I mean, it's really well sculpted. Definitely love the way that looks. And again, you can really see the razor cuts all throughout. And then over to the back of the helmet, he just has that kind of chainmail type of look to the helmet. So I definitely like how that looks. And as great as the detail is in that helmet, there's just as great a detail in the armor. Looking at the shoulder pads, you really have that like football type of shoulder pad look to them, and then you have these insane like jagged spikes just coming out of everywhere, and you can see they're really nicely detailed, and they are a bit of a softer material, so you don't have to worry about them like breaking on you or anything, which is really nice. And that's kind of been like the whole thing with these Shredder figures is, the blades are all kind of flexible, so they're not going to break off, which is really reassuring. But yeah, just the blades on these shoulder pads are insanely good. So really happy with the detail of this, and I'm definitely happy they went with this softer plastic. And looking at the torso of the Super Shredder, this is actually one of the weakest parts of the actual figure, and it's not because of the way it looks. It does have a little bit of a wobble to it, which I've seen other people complain about. And I don't know if it's just top heavy. I've seen a couple people like kind of say something about the peg, the ball peg that's in there. So it is a little bit wobbly. But another thing I've seen people complain about is the kind of highlights that are in the musculature area. And that's actually the way it looked in the movie. So before you knock it for looking cartoony or whatever, that is the way it looked. So yeah, I would definitely go back and watch the movie before you make that judgment. But this is what it looked like, and man, it looks fantastic. I mean, just like the armor and the muscles are really cool. You know, he's clearly, you know, used that mutagen, so he is mutated about as much as he possibly could without splitting through those clothes. But I really like the detail. The muscles look really good. Just insane looking, man. I really like this like shorts piece here, and he's got like a sash with some really nice detail and texture going through there. Again, the spikes, just like the shoulder pads, the spikes are done really nice with that softer material, so I do like that. And then his hands all have this really kind of gross look to them. They kind of have like this scabbed, kind of mutated look to them, so I do like that. Kind of gives him that like gross factor, which looks really, really cool. And here's a nice quick close-up of the back of the muscles as well. And again, the detail is extremely good. I really liked how they got that like black wash in the muscles to kind of make them show up just a little bit more. And again, with the sash, you can kind of see it go around the top of the shorts piece, which is really good. Just overall, really good detail just in that torso. I mean, this thing looks insane. Look at the blades on these Shin Guards. I mean, damn. They look so freaking good. And again, they have that softer plastic, no worries. They kind of have these like kiss boots or something almost. I mean, they're so freaking cool looking. But really what it is, it's like a wrap around his leg, and then he's got those sandals, and it's just wrapped all around, so it kind of looks like boots, but it's really just the wraps and the sandals. But man, I just really love the way these Shin Guards look. Just awesome all around. Alright, and one more thing that really shines on this figure as far as the details in the body is this cape. And I mean, it literally shines because it has like that kind of, I don't want to say glittery effect to it, but it definitely has, you know, some iridescent look to it, which is really cool. So you do get a cape with the Super Shredder, and he does wear a cape in the entire movie. I don't think you really see more than a couple scenes of Shredder with no cape. And it's done really nice. I mean, I like the way it kind of just like flows on the back. Now, I know a lot of people love the wired capes, and I get it. I definitely get why you would want a wired cape, but for this particular figure, I think a wired cape would have been a huge mistake, because you really don't see this character that much. And I mean, he's just in that dock scene. You really don't need some windy blowing cape to really pull this look off. And I really think NECA's just knocked it out of the park with how they did it. So again, it just kind of flows there. It's got a nice weight to it, so it will flow really, really nicely. And you can kind of see it kind of holds in where like the pleats would be. So, but overall, I mean, I really like the way it looks, and it does exactly what it needs to do. Alright, so in terms of articulation, even though this is a big guy, you know, it's Super Shredder, he's not super limited. He actually has some really good articulation. So taking a look at him, he can turn his head to the side pretty good, at least good enough for any pose you need to do. And then he can look down pretty good, which I think is his most important piece of articulation as far as when you're scaling him with other people, because he's going to be taller than everybody almost. So he can look up just a little bit if you need, and then you can get a little bit of like tilt action in there also. Now he can get his arm out pretty far. And I'll go ahead and do T-pose for you guys that love this thing. And of course, what I was saying, you know, he does have that wobbly torso, so what people were saying is definitely right. I think everybody's is like that. But he can do like a complete turn. I could probably turn him all the way if I wanted to. And look at that. Look how much down motion he can get. And that's really good. And then he can go back far too. And that's before you even use this lower joint. So if you use them both, I mean, he could hunch over like all the way. And then again, using them both to look back, you can look back pretty good. So he's got really good range of articulation in that top section. Now what's weird is he doesn't have the bicep swivel, but he can swivel at both of these joints, so the top and the lower, he can swivel. And then he also has double hinged elbows, basically. It's that NECA double hinged elbows. So I mean, he can really, you know, he could like cross his arms pretty good. So I do like that. He can do a leg movement out about that far. Pretty good. You do have the double hinged knees, which is nice. You know, his legs can go out pretty far. So I do like that. Probably balance him if he had a little bit more support than I do on this stand here. And then he can move his foot down about like that, up about that, and he does have some ankle pivot. So yeah, I mean, overall, he's got some really good articulation for somebody so big. So you can get some really great poses with him. Now you don't get a ton of accessories with this figure. You really only get a couple things that it can actually hold. Now the first thing you get is this really cool staff. And it's very reminiscent of the original Super Shredder, like vintage figure. And in that one, it was called a Sinister Spiked Staff. But it's actually different than what we're seeing here. This has kind of like a crisp type of knife blade at the top, and then it has these crescent blades on the side, along with a pointed end. So it is a really cool weapon, and you can see it's actually a little bit taller than Super Shredder, which is kind of shocking because he's pretty big, but you do get a really cool bladed spear tip on the end of that. And the only other accessory you get is this TGRI Ooze Container, and you can kind of see how the ooze is actually showing inside, which is pretty cool. Now from what I could tell, I couldn't get the ends off, like I couldn't unscrew it or anything like that, so I think that's pretty much how it's going to stay. Now it is different from the original. If you knew anything about the 1990, they actually called it TCRI in the original movie, and then it has the radioactive material written on there, and you can see the crack in it. You also get some interchangeable hands with Super Shredder. So the hands right out of the box are just going to be the fisted hands, which look really good. And again, you know, like I kind of said, they have a very like blistered effect to the skin, which is you know, pretty creepy and really good effect. But you also get a few different sets of hands. So you will get the fisted hands, you will get these open or relaxed hands, and those really show all the details. As you can see, the palm and the inner fingers, and again, you can see all that blistering in the skin. So just really, really good details. And you'll also get the gripping hands, which are nice. So these you could use for gripping the staff, or any kind of weapon. And then the final one you get is just one hand for the left hand, and this is for gripping the Ooze canister. So really cool. So that is all your interchangeable hands. So not a huge array of accessories, but you know, for a character like this, I think it's more than what you would expect. Here he is holding the Ooze, and you can see he's got a really nice grip on that. And if you change into the gripping hands, you can hold a double-handed pose on his spear or bladed weapon. So that looks really cool. So you can get some really nice poses with these interchangeable hands. Alright, so for the first comparison, here is the Super Shredder next to the NECA 1990 Shredder and 1990 Casey Jones. So these guys are more of the regular human scale, and you can see how Super Shredder is much bigger than his original self. For the next comparison, here he is next to the 1990 Splinter and 1990 Raphael in Disguise, also both made by NECA Toys. For the next comparison, here he is next to the 1990 Ninja Turtles, and these are also made by NECA Toys. And man, again, I mean, you can see how much taller Super Shredder is, and you know, he can, you know, look down on his foes, so that is really cool. Here he is with the 1990 NECA Toys Foot Soldiers, and again, they scale really well with each other. For the final NECA Toys Ninja Turtles comparison, here he is next to a couple classic Ninja Turtles designs. So you have the Mirage Comics Shredder, which is the very first Shredder and very first Ninja Turtles comic, actually. And then you have the 1987 Toon version of Shredder. And there actually is other versions besides this. You know, we've kind of already taken a look at the movie one, but they also made a arcade version, they made a Turtles in Time version, and then they also made a Loot Crate exclusive first appearance comic book, Mirage comic book version. So NECA has made nearly every, you know, at least very popular version of Shredder, and it's really impressive. So I really commend them for taking care of the fans and making these Shredder figures. And then here he is next to a couple other NECA Toys figures. So you have the tallest Jason figure, you have the Freddy vs. Jason Ultimate Jason figure, and then you have the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman. And I really like the scale difference here, and it really tells you how big this Jason really is. So he's pretty close to the same height as Super Shredder. But again, I mean, Shredder is huge. He is definitely one of the biggest NECA figures. Here he is next to a couple larger figures. So you have the NECA Toys Enforcer Predator on the left, which I used to nickname the Shredder because he has like very Shredder type of helmet. And then also Shao Kahn, made by Storm Collectibles, and he's on this side. And he's a very big character, but Super Shredder is still actually taller than him, especially if you look at the shoulder line. So, you know, again, a very, very big figure. You can see how he just towers over the Predator. And then here he is with the original Super Shredder. Alright, so that's my review of the Super Shredder from NECA Toys, and I would definitely highly recommend this figure. There really isn't any complaints except for the ab kind of wobbling around a little bit, or the torso area. But overall, it's a really, really nice figure. If you're a fan of the movie, if you've been collecting NECA Toys, Ninja Turtles for a while, you're definitely going to want to pick this up. So thanks for watching my review. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment or question if you have it. And until next time, guys, see ya.